So we're going to begin by centering, which means that you can take a comfortable pose. You can stay seated. You can have your legs out in front of you. You can have one leg bent, whatever feels comfortable. I'm going to spend a few minutes here just tuning in with our breath. So close your eyes. Notice any sounds that you can hear, far sounds, and then maybe sounds a little bit closer in, or perhaps there aren't any sounds. But just notice the sound ambiance around you. And just let it become part of the background. And then begin to notice any interesting scents. S-C-E-N-T-S. See if there's any smells, food smells, cooking smells, whatever kind of smell will be in the air. Then begin to allow your breath to become the focus of your awareness. Just noticing the breath, not trying to control it. And begin to focus more on the inhales than the exhales. And notice what happens to your torso as you inhale. The rising of the chest, the opening of the collarbones. Move your awareness now to your exhales. Noticing the release, perhaps the shoulders dropping down, softening a little bit more. And in yoga, as you know, we have intentions called sankalpa in Sanskrit or Hindu. And my intention for this practice is letting go. What do I want to let go of in my life? It's a good time to shed some things. As we shed the summer, today's the first day of autumn. So perhaps your intention could be around letting go, or it could be around anything to do with your practice today, to do with your day, to do with your, remember those 2021 New Year's resolutions? To any resolutions you may have for your life. So just spend a few breaths here thinking about letting go or any other intention. And we're going to begin our first pose now, which is going to be on that setup that I mentioned, where you have a block on its highest point and on its lowest point. And then I put a filler with a pillow, and then a pillow on top, so that I have a slant behind me. You're going to sit up and allow yourself to fold down onto your ramp. I think I want my ramp a little bit higher, so I'm going to add another pillow. Yeah, that's better. And then going to bend your knees, bring the bottoms of your feet together and open up your hips into diamond shape. So I do have some spaces underneath my thigh. So I am going to fill those spaces with yet more pillows. So once you find your comfortable spot in this reclined butterfly type pose, just going to stay here for 3 minutes. So make any adjustments you need to make to get so that you feel completely comfortable. Your feet can be further away from you or up closer toward your groins. It depends on what feels right. And then you can open up your palms and take your arms out to the side. You put your hands on your belly, whatever feels right for you. This is a heart opening pose, as well as a pose to open up the hips. Once you're in your Goldilocks position, begin to notice your physical body. I've been talking to a couple of my friends lately, and 2 of them have said they never notice anything that's going on in their body. And you know, I can understand that in our society. We focus a lot on the mind and doing. So yin is a good place to practice good body awareness. Bring your awareness to various parts of the body, the feet, the toes. Ankles. Allow them to soften even more. Soften that region. Very slowly, and keeping your legs exactly how they are, you use your arms to help you come up to a seated position. And you may notice in your seated position, they're still kind of backwards. So use your arms to lift up those hips and push the pelvis back so you can sit up tall and straight. And we're going to do a couple of twists here. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the right hand over to the outside of the left thigh. And we're going to take the left hand and place it behind you and come into a twist. Keep the spine long. Relax the shoulders. Keep the legs soft. Perhaps breathe up and down your spine. Inhale the prana up your spine. And exhale it down. Every exhale, feel yourself become more and more grounded. Relax those thighs. We'll take 3 more deep breaths here. And then slowly come back to center, very slowly. Just pause here for a moment. We're going to take that twist to the other side. So left hand outside of right thigh, or if it doesn't make it over there, just bring it as far to the right as you can bring it, and bring your right hand beside or behind your right hip. And we'll do the same. Keep that long spine, relaxed shoulders, and come into this twist. Slowly come back to center. And let's do a few cat-cows on our seated position. So just, you can move your legs if they're not out of that position, straighten them out a minute, shake them out. And then we're just gonna do some cat and cow movements. Just take the torso back and forth. Can't spread those ribs enough, especially as you get older. You want to keep your muscles in your rib cage a little elastic so you can take deep breaths. All right, okay, so very good. We're going to switch to a completely different direction now, using this same prop that we created. I'm going to slowly and gently, for some of us with bad knees, come over onto your belly, but we're going to use this platform to do a supported Sphinx pose, and it feels so good. So you're just going to come into a Sphinx pose. You don't have to use any pressure on your arms. You can keep your head straight ahead, that would be nice in this supported Sphinx. I do a lot of Sphinx poses, and I notice I can really relax my lumbar region. But if it isn't working for you, you can just do a regular Sphinx pose. Remember, it's your yin practice. It's not about what I want you to do. It's what your body wants to do.
Are you hearing noise from my computer?
Not too bad. Every now and then a little sound, that's all.
Well, I've got somebody working on the house. That's why.
I can't hear that.
Oh, okay.
Just feel your pelvis, just your groins just sink into the mat. While you're still in this pose, I'm going to offer you a choice. For those of you who like to do child's pose, which is a strong pose for the knees and the whole back body, the next pose would normally be to come back up and do a child pose. But sometimes I don't like to do child pose, it hurts me. So if you want to do child pose, just, come forward into a child pose. But if that doesn't work for your body, you can you can remove your platform and you can come into a knee to chest pose, which is really child's pose on your back. So make your decision. We're going to be here for 3 minutes. And the other nice thing you can do in child pose to make it even more cozy, in knee to chest pose, is to take your strap and bring that around you, because that way you're doing absolutely no straining. So get yourself into whatever position you choose, child pose or knee to chest pose. And we're going to stay here for 3 minutes. Continue to look for areas that start to tense up and invite them to soften. Slowly, if you're in child pose, you can come up and do some cat cows. If you're not in child pose, you can just drop your feet down onto the mat and maybe do some windshield wiper motions from side to side. Okay, so if we're in child pose, you can go into a pigeon pose. Is anyone in child pose?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're in child pose, what you would do next, and this is a challenging pose, is you would take your right leg forward and then slide your left leg back. And then put lots of props here in front of you and come down onto those props. As many as you need. So you get that nice stretch. Okay, so that's how you would be if you are going from child pose to sleeping swan. But for the rest of the people who are just in knee to chest, you're going to take your right and put it over your left knee, draw your left knee in, and then grab onto your thigh or your shin or your strap. It's the same effect, but without the strap on the knees. So we're going to stay here for 2 minutes. So again, noticing your physical body, notice where you feel the stresses in this pose. I feel it in the back of my pelvis, the side of my head, and all around down the outside of my thigh to my knee, I feel a stretch. But that's just my body. It may feel different in your body, but I like to notice where the tendons are being stretched. So this is a good IT band stretch then for people who get tight in the sides of the legs, which most of us do. All of these poses are great because we do sit so much and we lean forward and slouch so much that one of the great benefits of yin is counteract the gluiness that can accumulate in our joints. People say, you know, we've talked about this. You sit down and you go to get up and your body is still in the same position it was when you were seated. It takes a few seconds to straighten up. And I notice when I do yin a lot, which I have been, that doesn't happen anymore. Very rarely, because I'm not all really in my joints. I hope it lasts. Hope it lasts a while longer. Keep your shoulders relaxed. So if you're in sleeping swan on your belly, you can just come back into child pose a bit the rest of us, we're going to drop that left foot onto the ground. And then we're going to lift up that right lower leg into a half happy baby. And lengthen out the left leg. Just going to stay here for a little bit while prone people are in child pose. So you see you get a little extra stress now in the back of the pelvis. Relax the leg. Take a few deep breaths. Push out through that left heel. Two more breaths. And slowly release the pose in your body. If you're on your tummy, you can do cat cows here. We're going to switch to the other side now. So we're going to come back down into the sleeping swan on the other side by sliding the left leg forward and the right leg back. But for the rest of us, we're going to bend our knees. We're going to cross the left ankle over the right knee and then draw that right leg in. And again, this side may feel different. It may be tighter or looser. Draw that right knee in into your figure four. And we'll stay here for 2 minutes. Soften your jaw. Soften the thighs. Stay in the present moment. Slowly release this pose. Place your feet on the mat. If you're on your belly, you can come up into child pose, or you can just come up and roll over onto your back. Slowly, very, very slowly. And we're going to keep the left leg in, and we're going to come up into a happy baby. So you can use your strap if you want to. Draw that left into the armpit and lengthen out the right leg. It's going to stay here for a little bit. If you do this, you're getting almost the same effects as you do with a swan or a pigeon pose. I like to do pigeon pose. It's a very strengthening pose for the legs, but be very careful. It's tough on the knees. So I don't do it if my knees are at all feeling like wonky. 3 more breaths. And gently release this pose from your body. And just lengthen out your legs, bring your arms out to the side, and take a moment to notice the sensations in the low back, and the hips. Notice if you feel more alive, more energy. This is a great way in that if you use Chinese meridian theory to raise that qi up. The qi, because we sit so much, which is your energy, your breath, your prana, tends to cool down in the lower parts of the body, which can lead to being tired or sad or even depressed. So when you do these movements that activate the energy, it moves it up into the upper body so you feel more alive and more energetic, even though you do feel more relaxed. All right, so we're going to do a final pose here just for, to get the fronts of the thighs a little more stress. I'm going to use my blocks today. We're going to bend the knees. And you can use your blocks or you can use your roller if you have it nearby. We're going to lift up and place blocks underneath your pelvis. Come into a supported bridge pose. And then you can start to lengthen out your legs. Get a great stretch in the front of your thighs and compression in low back. If it's too much, you can do one leg at a time. I'm going to stay here for 3 minutes. If you want even more stretch on the front body, you can take your arms and lift them up and overhead. Play around with the pose and make it as interesting as possible for yourself. Again, staying in the present moment. In breath, present moment. Out breath, wonderful moment. If we stay in the present moment, we don't have to worry or be fearful, anxious. This present moment is the most important moment of our life. It's the only moment of our life. So gently bring the feet onto the mat and slowly lift up those hips and remove your prop. Bring the knees together and the feet wide. Bring your right hand onto your heart and your left hand onto your belly, and we'll stay here for a few breaths in constructive rest pose. And then let's lengthen out the legs again and take the feet wide apart. Bring your arms out to the side. And we're going to come into probably my favorite yin pose, banana asana. So we're going to take we're going to stretch the right side first. You're going to tip your upper body, your torso, and take it over to the left. And you're going to note that your hips are flat on the mat. So you're tilting your upper body to the left, and then you're going to slide that right leg over, keeping that right hip on the mat. Slide that right hip over, right leg over to meet the left ankle. So you're going to a banana shape. So you've stretched the entire right side. Now, if you want to, you can bring your arms up overhead and grab onto your wrists with one hand or the other, if it works for you. The most important thing is to keep that right hip flat. So you'll feel that stretch on the entire right side of the body to the ankle. I'm going to stay here for 2, maybe 3 minutes. I like this pose so much. So if your arms don't feel comfortable overhead, you can lean to the side. And you only want to come into the stretch as far as it feels safe and comfortable and with no extra uncomfortableness anywhere. But this is a wonderful, wonderful stretch. We were talking earlier about something you can do at night in bed. This is something that, unless you have a house that's a bed bug, you can spread out in the whole bed and do this pose. It's very relaxing. It's a spinal stretch. It's a rib stretch. It's an IT baby stretch. And then just let everything soften. Very, very gently take the right leg over to the right and then draw your torso back to the center. And just stay here for a heartbeat or two just to feel the rebound effect of opening up the right side of the body. And then we're going to slide the body over to the right, the torso, shimmy it over there. And then we're going to slide that left ankle over, keeping the left hip on the mat, keeping your arms where they are, or you can take your arms up overhead and we'll do banana on this side. So you've probably noticed in the end, just speaking of letting go, there comes a point sometimes in a pose where all of a sudden you'll feel yourself let go. It's just such a freeing feeling. Stop gripping so tightly, holding on to. Sometimes we don't even know what we're holding on to. But in the end, there comes a point where all of a sudden you can just let it go. Tension goes away. Slowly begin to come back to center. Bend your knees and step your feet onto the mat. Bring your arms out to the side and do some windshield wipers. And then hug your knees into your chest. And we're going to come into a twist. So I'm going to put a prop on my right side to catch my legs as they fall over. It can be very relaxing. So just going to bring your arms out to the side, and then you're going to drop your knees over to the right, keeping your left shoulder on the mat. And we're going to stay here for 2 minutes. If you want more sensation, you can bring your arms up and overhead. And look over the left shoulder. This is a great twist for the spine, organs. Very, very slowly. Bring the knees back to center. Hug the knees into the chest again. Maybe circle around those hips a bit. And we're going to move the prop, if you have one, over to the left side. And put the feet down onto the mat, bring the arms out to the side, and then drop your knees over to the left, keeping that right shoulder on the mat. And we'll stay here for 2 minutes. Slowly bring those knees back to center. Give them one last hug. Bring your feet straight up to the heavens, just for a few breaths. And then lower your legs and prepare for the final pose of the class, Shavasana. Lengthen out your legs. Bring your arms out to the sides. Whatever is comfortable for you. And let yourself go in your Shavasana. I'm going to read a poem that I found that is just beautiful by Rumi. The hidden wellspring of your soul must needs rise and run murmuring to the sea, and the treasure of your infinite depths would be revealed to your eyes. But let there be no scales to weigh your unknown treasure, and seek not the depth of your knowledge with graph or sounding line. For self is a sea boundless, measureless. Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. Say not, I have found the path of the soul. Say rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals. Start to bring some movement back into your body. Roll your head from side to side. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Rotate your wrists and ankles. Stretch out. Stretch your toes out in front of you. Bring your arms up and overhead. Take a long stretch. And slowly roll over onto your side. And stay here for a breath or two and thinking about your intention if you had one. And when you're ready, you can make your way up to a seated position. Did the dog do yoga?
She just snuck back in.
Animals love yoga, they really do. So bring your hands to your heart. May all beings be happy and free, and may our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to the peace and harmony of our planet. Namaste.
Namaste.